So let's say you found a skeleton. How would you tell if it's a representative? You personally, how would you decide?
Well, interesting question. I don't know. I'd have to do some research on that.
Hey everybody, welcome to Matt with Maddie. Maddie is, of course.
I feel like you set me up for that one.
Only a little bit. This is Matt with Maddie 32, the search for Matt. I am, of course, Dapper Dino in my human suit. I am joined once again by Maddie from Science Side Up, who is continuing on with the tradition of she continues to tell stories as we're about to go live.
I was continuing, but you didn't say you hit the go live button.
It's true. That's true. Maddie, what are you drinking today?
Listen, team, I'm so excited. Look what was on the very bottom row of the tall boy section of my gas station.
Oh,
Mountain Dew Baja Blast.
Very
Still
nice.
not sponsored. Still wish we would be. Guys, I've only ever had a Baja Blast, like... Okay, I thought these were at Taco Bueno, because growing up, we didn't have Taco Bell. We had Taco Bueno. I still... I know I'll take flack for this, but I contend that they are superior. But I've never had Mountain Dew Baja Blast. I thought I would try it and bring it on stream just for you beautiful people. So I'll crack it open while Dapper tells us what's going on tonight.
Well, we got a few things going on. Mostly it's Matt. Now I am in fact drinking a Mai Tai out of this amazing Klingon tiki mug that was got for me from my wish list. It's very, very nice. So yeah. I've made a dangerous amount of Mai Tai. Like a very dangerous amount. I am not drinking all of that tonight. I might not survive if I did that. So what we're going to do is basically what we do on Tuesdays, generally, which is we're going to take a look at a creationist, look at the nonsense they're going to say, and we're going to try to correct it real time with drinking rules. And also, it's all just for fun. And also, because this is live, you should take everything in this video with a grain of salt, and if you're skeptical of anything, feel free to go check. And if I get it wrong, which will almost certainly happen at some point,
yeah, this is
feel free to let me know.
Guys, like, we're not gonna intentionally say anything wrong, but we're also, like, listen, by the hour and a half mark when that drink counter gets up there,
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying my standards lower a little bit, but...
You kind of are.
Fair.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit!
Just a little bit.
But
It's fine,
I'm
don't
also
worry.
eating a cookie.
Is it a Glorio?
No, well, it should be, but it's actually a no-bake cookie.
I mean, I understand why that might also be appealing.
It's really yummy.
Okay. Alright, well, I mean, next time Glorios, but I get it. They're not that easy to get in this sector, what can I say?
No.
Most of the replicators don't have the recipe. Which, did everything just go away? My computer decided to just have everything be hidden for a second. That's awesome.
Yay! Hey, while you fix that, let me start going over these drinking rules, friends.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
First thing, drink. We'll have a drink anytime we have to, because the dumb was really big and we had to cool our brains off.
Mm-hmm.
That's number 1. 2, we take a drink anytime Matt here is going to say something true out of his own brain, right? Not reading something, but say something that is actually factually correct.
Yes.
3, we will take a drink anytime Matt cites a source, and then we go look that source up, and not only does it not support his point, but it directly contradicts it. This is known as the Trojan source. It's my personal favorite. 4, this one's special. It's a once per stream one, because if it does happen, it then happens a lot after it. So It's just a one and done. This is what we call so it's anytime they confuse the specific individual Lucy with any of her larger taxa that she might fit into.
Right.
So if it's like, oh, we can't know what Australopithecus's feet were like, because we don't have Lucy's feet. Well, that's silly because we have the feet of other Australopiths. Okay, that was 4. That is, which one is that called?
That is ad hominid.
Ad hominid. That's the good one. Okay. 5. We'll take a drink anytime Matt brings up a certain political party from Germany in the 30s. And for this Matt in particular, we also will take a drink anytime he mentions Columbine or other things related to that. Matt has a tendency to do the latter more than the former. Okay. 6. We will take a drink anytime Godzilla comes by audibly. We do that one. We take a drink anytime someone uses a super chat or a membership milestone chat that includes a like a Godzilla or a King Ghidorah, or one of those boys, one of those guys.
Literally, the one you're missing isn't the guy. It's Mothra.
Mothra. Okay.
Don't misgender Mothra, please.
Okay, I'm so sorry. Mothra, King Ghidorah, or Godzilla, and when they come up, we'll also take a drink anytime somebody gifts memberships. We take a drink for each of the gifted memberships. However, if that gets really high, we'll just finish our drink and call that good.
Yeah.
If it gets above like 5 or 10.
No, it's higher than that, but yeah. 10 I'll do.
Well, okay. I said if it gets above 5 to 10.
Okay.
It's just okay. Number 9. We'll take a drink for Dapper as a professional. So anytime that there's something goes wrong in the stream that is his fault, we'll take a drink for that for Dapper as a professional.
It'll happen. I promise.
Yeah, absolutely. What am I missing? Because I know there's at least like 2 more.
So anytime anyone super chats or milestone membership chats, anything to the effect that Answers in Genesis, that's AIG, is a bag of dicks, we'll take a drink for that. We'll also take a drink for stories that didn't happen or jokes that didn't land. We will also take a drink anytime Matt mentions Columbine, because boy does he love to talk about Columbine, which is weird.
Mm-hmm.
It's really weird. And yeah, basically he blames Columbine on like
atheism,
lack of Christianity or atheism, which for him are the same thing, because Matt isn't really fully cognizant of the fact that there are non-atheists, non-Christians.
He's also not cognizant of the fact that there are Christians that the majority of Christians, not only that there are Christians, but that the majority of Christians have 0 problems with the concept of evolution.
Yeah.
Or an old age of the earth. It's very confusing to him.
If I want to be very, very careful, the majority of Christians belong to Christian groups which do not have a problem with their members accepting evolution. Because technically, I haven't done the survey, but I will say that among like the largest groups of Christians, like by far the largest is the Roman Catholic Church, which has fully said like, no, you can believe in evolution, don't worry about it. Then there's the Eastern Orthodox Church, which has never made a statement one way or another, and has never punished anyone for publicly accepting evolution, whether clergy or lay people. Then there's like, a lot of the mainline Protestant denominations who also have all said, yeah, no, it's fine, evolution. And once you get to the mainline Protestant denominations, if you then add in like the Eastern Orthodox Church and the Roman Catholic Church, that is by far the significant majority of Christians.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, because to be fair, I did have it pointed out by a creationist, not directly to me, but just it was pointed out that technically there hasn't really been a census taken or anything. And so I'm like, you know what, that's fair. I will try to modify that to the majority of Christians belong to a group that has no problem with evolution based on either their explicit statements or their implicit actions. So,
okay.
Yeah.
That seems fair, but now I want to look up and see if I can find a survey.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, please let me know, because that would be fascinating. Now, we have a couple, we have a fair few things to read before we get going here. Roshno, T-Rex arms or chicken legs color for $1.99 says, science, you fool. It's true, it's all about the science. Becca Justiniano, don't want to forget a syllable there, says, I made it for the Glorios with a Mothra emoji. So thank you very much. I will take a sip out of this wonderful cheeky mug.
Cheers!
By the way, this Mai Tai is white rum, spiced rum, triple sec, orange juice, pineapple juice, and orgeat.
Oh my gosh, that sounds delicious.
It is really, really, really delicious, and I had to be very careful with it. because
Yeah.
it is also deceptively strong because like the booze components are a bit under half of this drink.
Mm-hmm.
This drink is like about a third rum right here.
Oh my gosh, this isn't bad. It's also, I don't know, Dapper, when you get the hard Baja Blasts, are yours 0 sugar?
Yes, I think they all are.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that's just the standard.
They're not bad. I've only ever had Baja Blast in like a slushy form. So I was expecting this to be like, ah, damn, that's delicious, or
oh, this
like,
is terrible.
This is terrible. But it's not what I would normally grab it. It's like, it's really sweet, right? I
mean, it's basically a soda but booze.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so let's see. We got Roshna, T-Rex arms or chicken legs. Keller for $1.99 says Baja Blast is God's nectar. Of course. Yeah. I definitely can't disagree there. Let's see. Oh my goodness. Okay, so the first thing I have to note is that Fearmonger, Master of Science, is letting me know that the A with the circle above it, and the name of that diacritic I do not remember, is apparently okay. Mat och AIGR and Posa Medstora Kukar. I don't know how to pronounce that R there. You gotta help me out with the R too. Is it like a uvular R? Is it a trill? I assume it's not the English R, but I don't know what else to do. But I'm also going to assume that that's an AIG as a bag of dicks. We're going to take a drink.
Cheers.
Thank you. I mean, it has AIG in it, so like it's not like it's subtle. All right, so we are taking a look at a few videos of Matt Powell's, because Matt Powell hasn't put out much of like significant length in a while, so I just kind of smushed a few of his videos together. And we are about to hear from one of the other people in a call with him talking about what he's heard about atheists. So this is going to be Matt Powell's callmate's buddy about atheism. And we also recently heard from Matt that it's silly that I don't even remember at this point. We're just going to hit play. I'm just going to hit play.
Let's just hit play.
Yeah, we're just going to hit play. That's more of a uvular R, so like okay. I mean, I guess that makes sense. Oh, it's pronounced like okay. The CH is just a k. All right. See, if you just done the whole thing in IPA, I probably would have had a better time going through it. That's the real secret to getting me to pronounce any obscure language, is if you just encode the entire thing in the International Phonetic Alphabet, I won't have to worry about the orthography. I'll just read out the International Phonetic Alphabet, and chances are I'll know at least most of those letters. All right, here we go.
Quote I heard the other day about atheism is 2 things. Number 1, there is no God, and number 2, I hate him.
The story.
Now, we did just barely go over that last time. I just want to have it in there for context. And basically the point we made last time, which we're not going to super rehash, is just that, yeah, you're allowed to hate things you don't think are real. Right? Like, you're allowed to hate the villains from your favorite TV show or something. That's fine. It's not a problem. Also, because it is fairly unarguable that, religion has been used as an excuse for horrible things in the past. Not that a-religious people have not also found excuses to do horrible things. But that for that reason, you're allowed to dislike the main character of the ideology which you find to be distasteful or harmful. Even if you don't think it's real. Yep, that's literally it.
By the way, the National Center for Science Education finds with sources that at most 1 in 10 Americans believe are like YEC, right?
Okay. That's very, very small, actually. I'm kind of surprised. I thought it was closer to like 30%.
Yeah, with about 30% of people saying that like believe in like creation of some form, but the like hardline YEC is like at most is about 10%.
Okay.
And so if we just looked, we'd have to do a little bit of, because you could have but they don't have it broken down by religious affiliation.
Like, if you're a theistic evolutionist, I'm not going to pretend that like that. Like, I'm fine. Whatever. Good, that's fine.
I also don't know off the top of my head what % of Americans are Christian. and we could make the assumption that it would be an erroneous assumption, right? That all of that 10% of Americans say that. I'm gonna keep doing some math. You read super chats.
Okay.
Sorry.
All right, we got a membership chat. Jillian, addicted to Satan Wren, who's been a member for 18 months, and is at the amniote level, says, boy, if there's one person you can trust about atheism, it's definitely Matt. And I guess Matt's friend. I'm not even an atheist, and I'm frustrated. Yeah, look, it's... The degree to which people like Matt will simply ignore the actual self-reported life experiences and self-reported beliefs of atheists is very frustrating. Schrodinger's Fossil Coon for $2 says, after all, everyone hates Dolores Umbridge. Yeah, right? Like, there's an example, right? That is a famously hated often more than the main antagonist of the book series, right? Because this is a Harry Potter reference. So Dolores Umbridge is a relatively minor villain in one of the later books, who is not Voldemort. In fact, I don't even think... Is she even, like, technically a Death Eater? I don't remember. It's been a while, and I don't really currently have any plans to revisit that series anytime soon, so... But anyway, yeah, she's a relatively minor villain, but she's famously significantly more disliked than even the main villain, Voldemort. Right? Because, like...
Yeah. No, Dolores Umbridge is not a Death Eater. She's very specifically not.
Okay.
She's just an evil bureaucrat.
Right. She's one of the quote-unquote good guys, but, like, not, though.
Right.
So, okay. Yeah, thank you for helping me out with the Potterhead knowledge, because it, like I said, I've read all the books, I've seen all the movies, but it has been a very long time, and given the nonsense that, apparently the mold-eating J.K. Rowling's brain has been getting her up to, I am disinclined to continue engaging with that particular series, so. Alright.
Okay.
Oh, here we go.
Hold on, I have a thing.
Go math.
Approximately 210 million Americans identify as Christian.
Okay.
Right? Approximately 31 million Americans identify as, like, young Earth creationist. And based on the phrasing of the survey I was looking at, I think we're just going to assume that all the young Earth creationists identified in that survey are going to also be Christian. So let's beep boop. 31 divided by 210 is, so that's only like 15% of Christians in America
Who are young Earth
identify
creation-
as YEC. So
Okay.
I feel like we can confidently still make that claim because math exists. All right, thank you.
I mean, it is true that math does indeed exist.
Yeah.
I can't deny this.
Yeah.
All right, so
Okay,
our
I'm sorry. You have my full attention again.
now our next super chat is, I think it's trying to be in Klingon, but I don't think it's entirely working, because as I'm reading through it, I'm like, not all of these are like definitely the way that I would put this. Like, okay, so this is from Rael Gatubello, who says, Jangme Bi'Rashdak in Shepdu Nashdor, which is an attempt at answers in Genesis, but like it ends up coming out more like in Genesis they are the answers dicks like bag. Like it's not quite working. Although I do appreciate
in Genesis, they are the answers.
I mean, so like Jangme would probably be a better way to go for answers in Genesis. And then you would want Bih and then, you know, bag. So that, and then also you're going to need to put the topic marker at the end of the subject down phrase. Another little grammatical wrinkle that it's easy to forget. I forget it. I don't think there's any people who work on Klingon at all who don't sometimes forget put the topic marker at the end of the noun phrase that is serving as the subject in a sentence with a copula. Like, it's very frequently forgotten. So.
I'm gonna take a drink.
Oh yeah, I will also take a drink. Sorry, I didn't mean to go super hardcore into Klingon grammar. Okay. Morris was a stain on the human race, but not as bad as Thomas Midgley Jr. Says Roshina T-Rex arms are chicken legs. Keller for $4.99. Thank you very much. And now I have to update the total because, I mean, it's possible that we could get Bent a free pizza, which he would appreciate. It's also possible that we could continue with my next video having another fancy avatar. We could have 2 videos in a row, even maybe with the Tholian. Because the last video I had a Tholian avatar. And if we got to 100%, we could have a whole series, possibly, where I'm just a Tholian the whole way down. But we would have to keep getting to 100%. So it's not easy, but we could do it.
By the way, there's so much about the, like, framing and of how this shot looks that bothers me. And, like, listen, you guys see my chaotic office. This is how I live stream, right? But this, like, they've got, like, this designed logo, and I know the C doesn't look right. We've talked about that, right? But behind him is, like, the cross of Calvary. Like, effort was put into this space. And if we're going to talk doctrine, I'm really upset that there's no books, right? Like, the only book out is the Bible, and I actually kind of feel like maybe that's intentional. And I want to say, like, oh no, you don't want to, like, maybe read up on what other people have said about Christian doctrine for the last 2,000 years?
No.
We don't need to do that. We've got talking doctrine.
Look, the Christian history goes like this, right?
Yeah, Jesus.
There's Jesus and Peter and, like, the Acts of the Apostles.
Yeah.
And then Pastor Jim Bob rented out this garage space that we now have church in.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's
maybe, like, for, like,
maybe a Reformation in there
to enrich your faith. You can, like, Fox's Book of Martyrs. You're allowed to read that.
Yeah,
that's acceptable.
And also maybe mention, like, the Protestant Reformation if you're that's in there.
Yeah, like, you should know that Martin Luther was, like, a person. You don't need to worry what he said.
Yeah, you might also want to know that he's not the same as Martin Luther King Jr.
Yeah, those are different people.
The different guys. They have similar names.
Yeah.
But now Fearmonger actually gave a pretty good translation here. It says, I would say, which I would say is, yes, that is a much cleaner translation than even what I was giving, because I was just going off the top of my head without double-checking references. So, anyway, here's this guy. Talking Doctrine, I guess, is this guy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it's even on his computer. Okay, yeah, it's definitely that guy.
That you were saying about the Hensley guy, I think. I forget his name, but that, you know, spontaneous generation must be true. We see that's somebody who has searched out what he believes.
Okay, I just want to point out that I know we go over this every once in a while, but spontaneous generation is not the same thing as abiogenesis or origin of life research topics. It is a explicitly supernaturalist idea that involves things like life energy and the creation of modern complex life out of formerly living matter, not matter that was never alive, which is what abiogenesis is talking about. Because the entire point of spontaneous generation is that the life energy or life force of various organisms is leaking out into the environment, which is then allowing new organisms to coalesce by collecting that life energy and the dead matter that had the life energy and organizing itself through its own self-organizing principle into new living things. There is no such thing as life energy.
A beautiful, eloquent way of describing the theory. I would describe it more as like, well, I ain't never seen a rat give birth, so rats just must come up full form.
I mean,
I've only ever seen adult rats. What about you?
What about
rats
pigeons?
Must just full rats. That's all we got. There ain't no such thing as a baby rat. They just pop into existence.
I mean, I have seen baby mice. I have never seen in person a baby pigeon. So
there you go.
Yeah. Even though I do know that they are apparently delicious. Yeah, squab is a pigeon baby right before it fledges. Right? So it hasn't ever flown before, so it's still nice and tender like veal. And it's big and plump because it's almost at adult size, because pigeons get almost to adult size before they fledge. And then you go into your pigeon coop, you grab some of those not quite fledged pigeon babies. Those become dinner. So,
okay.
Yeah, that's what squab is in case it ever comes up.
And it's come to a point to where he has to honestly decide if he's going to believe what the world says or believe what God says.
Okay, I just want to point out that by what the world says, what he means is what there is evidence for. And by what God says, he means his particular interpretation of the Bible, which is not a universally accepted interpretation.
Yeah.
And spoiler alert, the evidence is going to trump any interpretation of the Bible.
And we're also conflating this idea of like, well, are you going to do what the world says to do or what God says to do? And that might, if that's like your moral and ethical dilemma around like, I don't know, feeding the hungry, right? Like, or maybe the world says the right thing to do is to report that person that is in the country illegally into like immigration, but maybe the thing God says to do is like love your neighbor and leave them alone. Right?
Maybe
like that type of thing, that sort of like more like this framing device, which is I heard it a lot growing up, of like what the world says to do versus what God says to do, right?
Yeah.
As a reason to like, hey, spending time with your family is more important than getting super rich, right? Like that was the context.
That's a much better version of that.
Yeah, and it was always in this version of like moral dilemmas, right? But like to take this, but like the evidence of my eyes, right, and the scientific evidence,
right,
says this, right, but this particular interpretation of scripture says something else. Like that's not really a moral dilemma, like, and so like let's not put like moral and ethical language onto things that are not moral and ethical issues, right?
But see, if you do, then you get to use your in-group bias to try to enforce the beliefs that you're trying to make sure that everyone believes.
And then you're behaving immorally because you are manipulating like people around you.
Don't worry about that. Don't even worry about it.
Lying for Jesus is okay.
Yeah, right. As long as it's for Jesus. Asta modular for 666. Sorry, Asta modular equals 666 for you for $6.66 says, apparently it's controversial to think that the world is strongly suggesting something that probably is what God wants you to think.
Yeah.
Like the fact that every piece of evidence just corresponds with one conclusion. Who cares? That's clearly not what God wants you to think. If God had wanted you to think that, he would have made sure the evidence didn't indicate that. That's how it works, obviously.
Yeah, that's how that works.
Yeah. All right, here we go.
And he doesn't like the implications of what God says. Now, here's the thing. The reason why he probably doesn't like the implication...
Okay, what's the reason going to be, everybody?
It's going to be a moral issue. It's going to be he doesn't like it because he wants to sin.
But well, obviously it's going to be because he wants to sin, but what's the sin going to be? Because I'm guessing horny.
Oh, I was going to guess horny.
Okay, because... that's what it always is, right? It's never like, oh, well, this guy wanted to sin by being too selfish. Because they certainly don't want to talk about that. They don't want to talk about being too selfish.
Like, hoarding wealth.
Yeah. Well, I mean, for me, that would be a subset.
Oh, that's true. That's selfish.
Yeah.
I was trying to subtly call out megachurch pastors.
Yeah, I mean, it basically, yeah. Or he wants to sin by being too mean to his neighbors.
Yeah.
It's never that. It's always basically like, well, I mean, he's horny. Oh, okay.
He wants to sin by being the religious leader that goes past the injured Samaritan or the injured man on the road. Wait a minute.
Yeah, that's never the issue. That
wasn't the moral of that story.
Yeah. Well, I mean, part of the problem is that it's self-evident that too many non-Christians are actually pretty nice people. So they have to come up with something else. And it's always horny. Always.
Yeah, always
but,
horny.
Hey, you know what? Maybe he'll surprise us and it won't be horny this time.
It could be God. It must be spontaneous generation because I don't want it to be God.
Are you not going to tell us what the sin was? Come on, dude. We were all...
Come on. We took bets.
I know. I mean, we both bet the same thing, but still.
That was one of the drink triggers we forgot to say, if we can correctly predict what he says.
Good point. Which I'm going to count as a Dapper's a professional drink because I didn't mention it.
Ooh, fun. Yeah, I'm a little parched.
Rail Gatubello for $2 says, his sin is that he doesn't want to pay taxes. He should talk
Definitely
to.
doesn't want to give unto Caesar what is Caesar's and God what is God's.
He should definitely talk to Kent Hovind all about that.
Yeah.
It's probably because he was indoctrinated believing that Catholics are Christian.
That was
wild.
That was not on my bingo card.
Not on my bingo. That was not what I was expecting him to say. Like, I know this group doesn't think Catholics are Christian, but like, wow. Okay.
You believe in spontaneous generation and evolution because you think Catholics are Christian.
Because you think Catholics are Christian.
And so you want to be a Christian, but specifically the Catholic kind? What? Okay, maybe he's going to explain this because...
Okay, also, these guys probably would have been Anglican? Like...
I mean, look, there are, recusants in England.
Okay, yeah.
You know, famously, what's his name? The guy from The Princess Bride.
Oh, Wesley?
Yeah, what's the actor's name? Yeah,
I don't know.
Come on, you gotta know these things, Maddie.
No, I'm so bad at naming the actor's name.
Okay, well, the guy who plays Wesley from The Princess Bride, he's from a famous recusant family in England.
Okay.
So his family is traditionally Roman Catholic, and they stayed that way even after Henry VIII. Yeah. Anyway.
Believing that all the lies about God from all the different denominations.
Okay, so not just the Catholics.
Like, all the denominations.
All of them, presumably, except his.
Right.
Right, so, like, he's probably a Baptist, so basically, like, everybody else. So, like, the Lutherans, the Anglicans, the Catholics, the Orthodox. I mean,
yeah, they're not,
else.
they didn't, no.
Mm-mm.
No. Peter was a Baptist.
Yes, obviously.
Obviously.
Carrie Elwes, thank you very much, Chris McDaniel. I knew someone in my chat would get it. Oh, and also Thylaca Liam Kennedy said that same thing. So, okay, thank you everyone for
Thanks,
Carrie Elwes.
team.
Yeah, that name just went right out of my brain.
Yeah.
That confused everybody. That he didn't want any part to do with that, and he probably never responded enough to God's drawing him.
Okay, so he thought Catholics were Christians, and he didn't like what he saw.
Other denominations,
right? And he didn't like what he saw in those groups. So then he was like, "Nah, this whole Christianity thing, get it out of here. I'm going to believe in spontaneous generation because somehow that's an alternate to Catholicism and the rest of Christianity, except this guy's version, of Christianity."
And he didn't respond to God's call.
Right, because
he had a Jesus-sized hole in his heart.
Right, but he tried to fill it with Catholicism, and it didn't work.
And it didn't work, so he filled it with flies of spontaneous generation.
Right, yes, with rotting meat producing maggots and flies.
Right, yes, and then became Beelzebub. We've got it. We did
Figured it out, guys. All right.
Yay!
Rail Gatubello says, lapsed Catholic, man, F the RCC, am I right? Somebody slams Catholicism with obvious and malicious lies. So you have chosen death. I mean, you know what? Fair. Because here's the thing, right? There's a lot of crap to criticize the Roman Catholic Church about. Like, a lot. And yet, people love to choose things that just aren't true. And it's like, dude, you do realize this is the organization that was shuffling around, like, you know, say CA-type priests all over the place for decades.
Oh,
and you're going to be like...
IFB, the Baptist Church of the IFB cannot talk about that
because
because
they
do the exact same
all
thing.
Right. Yeah, that's a good point.
Perhaps more so.
Possibly.
Possibly.
But yeah, but then people are like...
the IFB, though.
Yeah, but I mean, they were trying to promote the flat earth in the Middle Ages. It's like, no, they weren't. That's never a thing that happened. Gringovaldi Gurnison for $5 says, if Catholics aren't Christians, then who the blood-soaked hell is hanging on the cross? Yeah, it is generally speaking Jesus on there. Sometimes, every once in a while, you'll get St. Peter on an upside-down cross, because according to legend, he was crucified upside down by his request, such that because he didn't feel he was worthy enough to be put to death in the same way as Jesus. So it was like, can you put me upside down? And the Romans were just like, sure.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess so.
And Paul was like, I'll take that beheading, thank you.
Well, he was a Roman citizen. It would have been illegal to crucify him.
Yeah.
Roshina T-Rex arms or chicken legs, Keller for $1.99 says, bring back vitalism. Yeah, it is fun. In fact, it actually lives pretty strong in like pop culture.
Yeah.
It's vitalism is not gone. It's just gone into like fantasy and rather than like, science. Annoying all-purpose orifice newsletters for $2 says, I almost bought a full-size church crucifix. Where would you put that? Like, I'm trying to think like an actual like church rood complete with Jesus on the cross. Like, I don't think I could put it in my Starfleet command office here.
I mean, like, maybe Homeboy's got a rumpus room.
That's yeah. Oh, hey, see, it's hard to see, but like, there's a little Starfleet Delta, and now
so cool!
I'm weirdly out of focus. I hate this. Hey, webcam, can you?
Webcam.
Come on, keep it going.
Focus on my hand. Webcam.
All right, I will fix the webcam while we hit play. And
name and drink for Dapper's a professional.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair. Dapper's a professional. Savage Bivalve Alpinist Cobra says, "You mean it isn't Bob from Capua on crucifixes? No, it's not. In fact, it is generally Jesus of Nazareth who is on the crosses." All right, I'm going to turn me off, and we're going to hit play.
To where he actually had somebody spend a whole bunch of time with him, explaining him, just like the Ethiopian, like, who is this? Who's this speak of? So that takes somebody really seeking God for God to send that person there.
By the way, by the Ethiopian, I'm very confident he means the Ethiopian eunuch from Acts. So in case anyone's wondering, like, who's this random Ethiopian? It's a specific guy who's he's only identified as an Ethiopian eunuch in the Bible. So
yeah,
which presumably means he was enslaved because usually free people weren't castrated.
Yeah.
General rule.
And if they're not seeking, then God's not going to send it. But yeah, Matthew.
Yeah. That was the weirdest tangent I think we've ever had on this show. That was very hard to follow, and I don't know what that had to do with anything. But okay.
That was, if people aren't seeking, then God won't put teachers in their path to teach them.
But also
to be Baptists. Yeah.
Somehow they'll be kind of interested in it in the first place. But also then be like, oh, well, I don't want to be a Catholic, so...
But, yeah, so he couldn't have been actually serious because the only Christianity he learned about was Catholicism. And
right, I mean, yeah, if he'd been actually serious, he would have found a good Baptist church.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because everyone who reads the Bible comes away with, Baptist theology.
Yeah, let me go find that good Baptist church downtown.
Yeah, there's just no other options that you can pull out of the Bible.
No,
yeah.
Not if you're serious. Not if you're serious.
Yeah, if you're just fooling around, then I guess you can get whatever. But if you're seriously looking at the Bible, then you're going to end up as a Baptist, obviously.
I'm feeling really sassy tonight, and so therefore my ponytail is really high.
Is that what that means?
Yeah, that's what that means. Listen, if we get sassier, it'll go to the side. A side high pony.
Okay.
So sassy.
What happens if it just becomes a top knot and it's right out of the top of your head, very top?
Oh, that means I haven't slept in 3 days.
Oh, okay. Okay, got it.
I hate to say it, but and I agree 100%.
With what, Matt? Specifically?
With what point? Okay.
With you on that these poor guys, like I feel bad for some of them, and I'm not going to say, hey, it's totally not their fault, because to an extent it is. Because they are, but by
it, I think he just means not believing in God, from what I can tell.
Yeah, it's not completely their fault that they're not Baptists. It's partially their fault. It's a lot their fault, but it's not like completely.
Okay, so secret author of the Voynich manuscript says for 200 Argentinian pesos, AIG Baagiso Aga Itohoi. This is just a very agrammatical, non-recursive Amazonian language, which I'm finally ready to say is the real language on my manuscript. Okay, so was that an attempt at Piraha? Because if so, one, impressive that you would try, and two, I feel like the language itself is not agrammatical. I mean, I guess I don't really know much about it. Savage Bivalve Alpinus Cobra for $4.99 says he could have gone to the actual First Baptist Church, not these imposters we have here in the U.S.
Right. Oh, also, that one in the agrammatical language was in AIG as a bag of dicks.
Oh, it is. Yes, we'll take a drink.
Cheers.
Okay. Although somehow I feel like Piraha would not have a word for bag that is derived seemingly from English. Because as far as I know, they've had more or less no contact with English speakers. So, anyway, here we go.
At the same time, and I agree, these other so-called holy books are so, because people say, oh, the Bible's you can't trust the Bible. The Bible's unscientific. Well,
when did other holy books come up? Dude, you're responding to a statement about other versions of Christianity.
Yeah.
Like, outside of, like, the Mormons, there aren't a whole lot of Christian groups that just are adding extra holy books.
Yeah.
Okay, sure.
Let's see what. Let him talk.
wait a minute. Let's start in Genesis 1:1. In the beginning, God. So in the beginning, there's time. God created the heavens.
First of all, in the beginning is not a great translation. A better one would be when God started creating, or when God began to create.
Yeah.
And
the
like
earth was wild and waste.
Yeah, so like the Bible does not actually depict God creating time. Now, you're welcome to, for theological reasons, decide that if God is the supreme being of the universe, that therefore he is the ultimate cause of everything, including time. Okay, great, cool. But you're not getting that from Genesis 1:1. You're getting that from philosophical speculations about the nature of deity. Those aren't the same thing. And one of the things I want to point out is that Matt is not a biblical literalist on any front, right? He is definitively pulling from non-biblical philosophy and theological traditions that are not in the Bible in order to alter what the Bible actually says, in order to fit with his worldview.
Mm-hmm.
So Matt does not have a leg to stand on in terms of, well, this is what the Bible says. Because very frequently, it is not what the Bible says, is what he thinks.
There's space. In the earth, there's matter. Trinity of Trinities, all right there in Genesis 1:1. And that is scientific.
Oh, wow, just drink.
So when somebody comes and says, oh, the Bible's unscientific, have you even read the first verse of the Bible?
Yes, Matt. Nothing about saying when God began to create the heavens and the earth was formless and void, and the face of God hovered over the waters. None of that is scientific.
Yeah.
You can't
it's allegorical.
Yeah.
It's a lovely poem.
You can't get from that to any scientific conclusion that we have reached.
Mm-hmm.
You just can't. And if you want to say, well, what about space, time, and matter that I'm imposing on the text of something God created, even though in the text, the universe already pre-exists, as does the matter God is going to create the earth out of.
Mm-hmm.
Because Genesis 1:1 is not an account of creation ex nihilo. It's just not. So it's an account of creation ex materia.
Saying, Okay. But let's take his argument. Let's take it at face value here for a second, right? So we open a book, right, and it says, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." Right? That's what it says. Cool story, right? That no more so says that God, that this being created time, right, or all of matter, right, than opening a cookbook that says, and it said bake for an hour at 350 and then you have cookies, right, which would be a very long time to cook cookies, but my point is the first verse of Genesis references that time exists and references that matter exists.
Which isn't news to anyone?
That's not news. And so saying acknowledging that stuff exists it is no claim that right? Do you see the text itself doesn't support his point any more than a cookbook would?
Yeah. All right. Let's see. Tea Time T says AIG Kelt Itelm Avil fun with conlangs with a Mothra and we'll take a drink. Thank you very much. Well, conlangs are fun. In fact, actually, there is a conlanger who worked on a show that I would love be able to get a hold of, and I am having trouble finding a way to do that. So also, Maddie, are you still here?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but I can't really see you moving. Your camera has just completely frozen.
Okay, I can hear you,
Okay.
but you have frozen for me as well. And it appears that my whole computer has frozen because my mouse doesn't exist right now.
Do you need to shut down and come back during the break, maybe?
Yeah, I'll be right back, team. I'm gonna hard reset my computer. You guys are cool.
Okay.
I'll be back in a minute.
Okay.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
And not to mention, there's just all sorts of things through the Bible, the global flood, and the fact that we found these fossilized seashells up on the top of Mount Everest.
Ooh, okay. Well, that's super dumb. So let's take a talk about that. We'll drink here. Okay. Mount Everest is currently growing, which means earlier in time, it was shorter, wasn't as tall. So, what do we do with that information? Well, one of the things that probably means is that at some point, it could have been low enough to actually just be below the surface of the water. And in fact, we have lots of reasons to think that. For instance, you can tell what the paleolatitude is of fossil-bearing strata through various techniques. I'm not going to go into the whole thing, but basically you have ways to tell whether or not rock was laid down near the equator, near the poles, in temperate zones, and whatnot. And one of the things we see for India is a rapid progression from south of the equator to the equator, zooming up into Asia where it is now, right? And so we have this whole history of India going there. And we know that, the rock of the Himalayas is currently being pushed up because the Indian plate and the Asian plate are meeting and buckling. We can even see that in the shape of the strata that have buckles and folds in them, right? So we know a lot about how this happens. And we know that the reason that there are ocean fossils on the top of Mount Everest is because it used to just be underwater. It used to be the ocean. Now, nothing about that is indicative of a global flood. Now, sure, you could go into the whole, catastrophic plate tectonics, and you could therefore say, well, this is compatible with my flood model. And to some extent, it kind of is, but then you have to remember things like your flood model is physically impossible because it produces enough heat to, just kind of explode the planet Alderaan style, which, not great. Let's see. Sorry. Savage Bivalve Alpinist Cobra says, and lo, the angel of the Lord... I'm sorry. I don't know why I have a cough all of a sudden. And lo, the angel of the Lord spake unto them, saying, Thou shalt bake at 350 degrees for 15 minutes, and then thou shalt have cookies. I hope the Lord is using some Fahrenheit there, because if the Lord is using Celsius, 350 degrees seems a little excessive. So yeah, let's hope the Lord is using Fahrenheit on that one.
And, the viewer, that Mount Everest is actually the tallest mountain in the world. And that's
usually it is. So we'll take a drink for Matt is right on that one. It's usually the tallest mountain. It goes back and forth.
Basic science, that's what we understand. And we've proven that through multiple different methods that indeed Mount Everest is the tallest mountain. So if
Okay, that it's the tall... I mean, we've taken multiple measurements and it's usually the tallest. So yeah, okay, sure.
So if Mount Everest is the tallest mountain that we have, and we're finding fossilized seashells up there, that is a proof that at one point the world was completely covered in water.
Nope, that's not how that works. The fact that currently on a mountain there are marine deposits is not proof of anything about a worldwide anything, because it's one mountain that we know rose up from the ocean floor. We know it for multiple reasons, from multiple sets of rocks. It's not anything. It's just a fact of geology that there are marine deposits in the Himalayas. In fact, you ever get that pink salt from the Himalayas? It's very fancy looking. The reason it's pink is because of fossilized algae, which is kind of cool. Matthew K says, take a drink of your H2O for your throat. I can't. There hasn't been a drink trigger. You guys, if you want me to take a drink to soothe my throat, you gotta get a drink trigger in there. Plus, I don't think we're gonna get the Tholian Dapper, which is disappointing.
And so when somebody comes and says that the Bible's unscientific, the flood's unscientific,
it is, and you finding clams on Mount Everest does not help.
how readest thou? What sources do you have? And not to mention, and back to what you were saying, Brother Matthias, I completely agree. These other holy books, they really mislead people because they are unscientific. Not to mention they were written by just these guys that didn't know anything about about God or about science. And people.
The other holy texts were written about by people who didn't know anything about God or science. I mean, they would contest that they don't know anything about God, but also Joshua Geese has just gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships. Thank you so much. That brings us all the way to 21%, and I will take 5 drinks. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Man, this is really good, but boy, is it dangerous. Because I'm feeling it. It's yeah, this is, man, this Mai Tai is no joke. I should probably cool it a little bit. Woo!
Accuse us. Oh, your Bible is written by a bunch of goat herders.
Okay, I will actually agree with Matt on that one. Please never say the Bible was written by goat herders for a few reasons. One, what the heck is wrong with herding goats? There's absolutely nothing wrong with herding goats. If you think that herding goats is a bad thing, then just get out. Like, it's just a way to make a living. There's nothing wrong with herding goats. 2, it also wasn't written by goat herders. It was written by mostly like well-educated scribes and priests and people like that, right? Like, these were the like Iron Age equivalents of PhDs, basically. These were some of the most intelligent, best educated people that were around, right? They were not like primitive savages scraping a life together in like the wilderness or something, right? These were sophisticated, mostly urban, upper class, educated individuals. These were not just idiots who were writing the Bible. Now, it is also true that the Iron Age had a very different set of genre conventions for writing. It had a very different ideology for things like what we would call religion. They didn't even have a concept of religion per se the way we do. They had a very different idea about what writing about the past should be like. For instance, the idea that there should be like polemics and history, and that history should just be a sober, unbiased account of past events, and that's not the same thing as polemics. Like, that was just not an idea that they had. So there's a lot about our current world that they would find foreign, and there's a lot about their world that we would find foreign. But they absolutely were not idiots or uneducated, and they weren't goat herders, even though there's nothing wrong with being a goat herder. Hey, the chat is just got to 69 in the chat revenue, which is pretty nice. So we got a few things to read here. Rail got to Bella for $5 says, technically the Hindus knew more about science than the Hebrews. They got close to the actual age of the Earth. Okay, but they didn't do that for any evidential reason, right? That was a philosophical musing on like the cycle of Brahma, which, basically in his dream and wake cycle goes through different stages of the Earth. And, we're in the current Yuga or age of the Earth is like the Kali Yuga because of how evil people are and whatnot. So I would call that more of a coincidence. They were certainly better at math than most people. They invented 0 at a time when very few other people had invented 0. They were also extremely good at astronomy. So I guess you could count that as a science. Yeah, I guess that's fair. But like in terms of like biology or geology or other sciences, I don't know that I could reasonably agree that they were more advanced than the Hebrews in those areas. But in terms of math, yeah, probably. They were also probably better at linguistics, honestly, because we have some very, very early like actual systematic grammars of Sanskrit and whatnot from the Hindus that, as far as I know, and I might be wrong about this, so double check me on this, but I do believe our earliest grammatical treatises on like Sanskrit are earlier than most of our grammatical treatises from other cultures. So there was a lot of like progress in that area, so that's cool. In part because I like linguistics, right? Rail Gatubello for $2 says, also, goats are delicious. I miss Monterey Cabrito. Oh man, goats really are good. So is lamb. I'm a big fan of lamb. That's why I was very happy that this past year, Easter and Cinco de Mayo lined up. I can make lamb tacos to combine the traditional meals for 2 different holidays. Joshua Geese for $5 says, a scruffy nerf herder? Yes. Who you calling scruffy? And the answer is the janitor for Planet Express. That's scruffy. Let's see. Savage Bivalve Alpinist Cobra for $4.99 says, AIG is a bag of people that fit Matt Powell's social preferences. Oof. Yeah, we'll take a drink for that. Yeah, that's a good one. Carrie Brunson, who has been a member for 40 months, my goodness, who's at the amniote level, says, remind me, has Matt openly endorsed the Ancient Aliens crap? It always seems to skip over one's favorite people getting extraterrestrial. As far as I know, he has not endorsed the flat Earth, Ancient Aliens. But that, like, I don't actually expect that he would. And hey, Maddie is back. Welcome back, Maddie.
Hi, friends.
Hello. Let me bring you back visually.
Okay.
Maddie's back. See, right there. There she is. This way.
Sorry about that.
No, it's all right. You came back, though, right almost exactly in time for the break.
Perfect.
Well, here's what we'll do. We'll play a little bit more of Matt, and then we'll go on break after that. And I will pop off this Mai Tai, and we'll get back to it.
Well, what I think is so silly about that is those same goat herders were some of the greatest mathematicians of all time.
No, the Babylonians and the Indians were better, but they weren't terrible.
I would say, okay, the sentiment of, like, I also don't like the Bible was written by ignorant goat herders.
Yeah,
right?
It's very stupid.
It's very stupid, and I don't like this, like, disparaging, thinking that we are inherently better than, like, previous humans.
Yeah.
Because we have access to more information, right? Like, that seems really arrogant and, like, maybe not the best way to sort of approach how you view the world and history, right? It seems like it can lead to some isms, you know?
Just a few.
Just a few. And so, like, I don't like that as a way of viewing the world, right? But, like, the concept of, hey, people in the past, like, didn't have as much information as we do now. They lived in a different culture. We have a different perspective than they do. And so we should try to understand what they were saying inside the context of their own culture, right? And then learn something about that, right? Like, that, yes, right? People in the past were dumb. No.
Yeah. All right. We are right up against that break, so I'm going to top this off. I will see you back on the other side of it. Maddie, I don't know, how's that Baja Blast going for you?
I've got so much to go on this, guys. You really need to make me drink more.
Yeah, I mean, we're only at 18 drink triggers, guys. Come on.
Come on, team.
Come on, let's go. All right, so we are going to go to the intermission, and we will be back. Now, the intermission is going to start with a commercial. It is the commercial for Star Trek Lexington, the Star Trek Adventures actual play that I am playing. Now, episode 1 is going to be live streamed on Friday. It is linked in the description. Go there. Tell YouTube to notify you. Keep it in a separate tab, because I'm really excited for this, and I know that most of my players are, especially FTFE, who has messaged me numerous times just to say how hyped he is for the game, and who also has been playing this commercial for the game multiple times on his recent streams. So, I will see you on the other side of the break. Live long and prosper, everybody. Tune in on September 20th, 2024 for a new adventure. It's been a year since the M5 incident, and the Lexington is ready to explore the galaxy once again. Join Captain Hawk, Commander Chanos, Executive Officer, Chief Medical Officer Tragan, Science Officer Lanford, Ship's Counselor Ross, Chief Engineer Shelby, a half-Tellarite with cybernetic implants, and Security Officer Croc.
Captain's Log, Stardate 5340.6. The Lexington is finally done with the repairs after the M5 affair. I know it was an honest mistake, but it's hard to believe that the great Dr. Richard Daystrom's legacy may end up being the near destruction of what is now my new ship. I have a new crew, one in line with Starfleet's new philosophy of moving away from mostly single-species crews and to a more integrated crew of multiple species. I'm not looking forward to the challenges of the life support, though. Too hot for some, too cold for others, too humid, too dry, to say nothing of the atmospheric combinations of gas being suboptimal for half the crew. That being said, we leave Starbase 4 ready for what's out there, for what lies beyond the edge of known space. The Lexington is a fine ship, with a fine crew, one of the best in the fleet, despite their experimental makeup. I could not be more proud to be their captain. This 5-year mission into the unknown is one we've prepared for our entire lives, and I'll be honest, it promises to be a fine adventure.
Their mission is to investigate a distress signal from the past. With spatial anomalies, a potential infiltrator, and a bloodthirsty crew will throw them all into danger. Begin an all-new adventure on the Top Hats Off channel with Star Trek Lexington, the Star Trek Adventures First Edition actual play series. Hey everybody, we are back. Thank you very much for sticking with us. Renee Reborn, who's been a member for 10 months, says, apparently I can milestone chat but not gift memberships. I guess the billing is being an AIG. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. That sucks.
I'm taking a drink for AIG, though.
Yeah, no, that's very fair. Yeah, I had to be very careful with that sip because the Mai Tai was right at the very, very hit rim of the glass. I was like, okay, make sure it all stays level. And all right. So before we get back into this, I have to give my little commercial here, which is to say that this channel is almost entirely supported directly by the viewers. Very little of the money that this channel makes comes in from just ads that play on YouTube or from like YouTube Premium, which, you know, that does give people money to watch their videos. So if you are enjoying what the channel does, want to help the channel persist and keep making, you know, usually 3 videos a week, even when I'm on vacation, like I was last week, which was very nice, by the way. But yeah, if you want that to persist and you can afford to, I would encourage you to look into any of the ways you can help support the channel financially. There is the Discord, sorry, not the Patreon, and the channel memberships are the 2 biggest ways. The Patreon lets me keep the most of it. It starts at only $1 a month. You can go all the way up to $100 a month. You can also get a 15% discount if you go annually. It gets you access to my scripted videos many months ahead. Like the video that I just most recently uploaded is probably not going to come out until like January or February or something like that. Like it's going to be a while. Actually, might be closer to March now that I think about it. But hey, that's how I can afford to take on a vacation, right? It's because I've got so much stuff that's just already in the can. And you can also gain access to my Discord server that's just for supporters. I think it's a really good time there. It's a very friendly, very welcoming community. Very, yeah, it's a great group of people.
Would you say they're very demure, very respectful?
Sure, yeah, we can go with that.
Yeah.
So let's see. There's also the channel memberships. The channel memberships start at $1.99 a month. They can go all the way to $20 a month. There is no annual discount, but it gets you access to the same early access to videos, the same Discord server. It also gets you the fancy once a month membership chats, as well as the various membership emojis. Now, if you want both, right? Like if you're like, oh, I want to, get both, I would suggest you give a smaller amount on YouTube memberships and a larger amount Patreon, because that way I get more of it. So yeah, there's that. But then otherwise, yeah, that's another great way. There's also a merch store. If you look below this video, I have a merch shelf. Click through there. If nothing that's there interests you, you can always click through to the actual merch store itself, and there's more stuff that I can't list on there because I can only do a maximum of like 40 listings on YouTube. But I have more than 40 listings in the merch. And let's see. There's also, I have a wish list, an Amazon wish list. It's linked in the description. There's also a wish list and a Patreon for Bent Hovind, who is my regular co-host for Kent with Bent. So if you want to help him out, that would also be great. Savage, Bivalve, Alpinist Cobra for $1.99 says, will a Moopsie make an appearance? That is a spoiler. I cannot confirm or deny that there will be a Moopsie in Star Trek Lexington. If there is, it will be one of the more dangerous missions, because Moopsies are extremely lethal, as we saw. So, watch out for Moopsies.
Moopsie.
Now, if no matter whether or not you can afford to help, or if you want to, please do make sure you like my videos and share them and watch a few of them in a row. Also, if you could do that for Top Hats Off, I am currently actually not that far off from being able to monetize Top Hats Off, which means that, people could do like super chats and things for like the live streamed games. But the biggest thing I'm missing right now, I'm only missing a few subscribers from it. I think it's like 70 subscribers, and I'll be at the subscriber count. But what I really need is more watch time. So, like, if you could put on one of my playlists on that channel off in the background, that will be great. Right? Low volume, don't mute it, because if you mute it, YouTube won't count the watch time. Yeah, they know. They know about that trick. Put it on low volume in the other room. That's the trick.
Those jerks.
I know. So
Not
by the way,
us circumvent their rules.
I know. So now there have been questions about the color of my uniform. Now this is the uniform I plan to wear for the game on Friday, and the idea behind it is going to be that I am basically, you can't really see it very well, but my name tag that's down here says Admiral Dapper, and so this is me being in a command uniform. And if you're wondering why is it yellow and not red, that is because TOS colors, where yellow is command and operations, and red is for like engineering and security, and then blue is for sciences and medicine. So the red and gold swapped around TNG for the amazing reason that Patrick Stewart looks better in red. That's
amazing.
That seems to be the reason. Yep. Also, there might have been something about the jokes about red shirts getting to Gene Roddenberry, and so he was like, all right, swap the colors. Now the yellow shirts can die. Yeah. Okay. Rochna, T-Rex arms or chicken legs. Keller for $4.99 says, do you sell a t-shirt that says AIG is a bag of dicks in Klingon? No, but that is an excellent idea, and I should definitely do that. Please.
That's such a good idea.
Please, people, remind me to make that t-shirt. I don't think I can use the Klingon font because I'm pretty sure that that's copyrighted. But so far, it seems like you can't copyright a language, which means I can use Klingon, just not the fancy alphabet. So, all right, here we go. Here's more math.
And the mathematical equations that these guys came up with are still the equations that we use today for the most advanced mathematics.
What equations are in the Bible?
Yeah, what equations are in the Bible? Also, calculus wasn't invented until the 1600s.
Also, the Bible estimates pi at 3. Like, no.
Like, listen, I would absolutely love to go down a beautiful rabbit hole about Babylonian trigonometry.
Oh, yeah. It's very cool.
It's so cool! And is actually more precise than our modern trigonometry because they use a different base system, which means you can have more, basically, like, you get more whole numbers in your circle. So you get, not whole numbers, you get more fractions. So you get
more divisors.
Rational numbers.
Well,
Like,
not rational, because if they're rational in any base, they're always rational, but more non-repeating fraction or non-repeating decimals.
yeah. More non-repeating decimals. You're right. Yeah, if it's rational, it's rational in any base. And Babylon has
Okay.
Babylonian mathematicians are like doing their trig before the concept of a zero, which blows my mind. Right?
I think if it's rational, it's rational in any rational base. I should say that. Because technically you could have an irrational base.
Wild.
Sorry, no, ignore me.
But like, it blows my mind that they don't have a concept of zero, right?
Yeah, and yet they're doing all sorts of very, very fancy trigonometry.
Yeah. So the ancient Babylon is one of the cultures that develops a zero, right?
Mm-hmm.
They do that, but they do their trig first,
which is just wild. Let's see, we got a couple things to read here. Savage Bival Alpinist Cobra for 199 says, "Come on, Dapper, Red is for disruptor fodder in TOS." That's true. That's very true. Olivia Williams, who's been a member for 28 months and is at the tetrapod level, says, "Oh, human suit with a Ghidorah. Thank you very much. We'll take a drink for that Ghidorah."
Cheers, Ghidorah.
You know, Ghidorah's a good guy in one of the movies. Only one, though.
What?
Godzilla, it's Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, all giant monsters, all-out attack. Which is also the longest title for any Godzilla film, which is why Godzilla fans usually just abbreviate it to GMK. Because no one wants to say Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters, All-Out Attack. Which also features Baragon, by the way. And here's a tip. Look for on-set, behind-the-scenes footage of Baragon. Because Baragon is significant in the Toho Godzilla franchise for a couple reasons. One, it's the first time the suit actor was female. And also, the actor in the Baragon suit was going around making growling and roar noises on set to help her like get in character, and it is adorable.
Is Baragon a giant bear?
No. It's more like a lizard with floppy ears and a nose horn.
Oh.
Yeah. So, Donald Aramio for $2 says MAGA is an irrational base. Not mathematically, but yes. Also yes. I did see a meme that said something like, looking at politics from American politics from the outside, would you rather eat shards of broken glass or this cheeseburger? And then the American in the next panel is like, I don't know. I would like to know more about how the cheeseburger is seasoned, really. Like, yeah, does kind of. That's pretty close. Oh, thanks for barking, dog. All right, here we go.
Yeah. Hi, Pupper.
She ran outside to go bark at something or other. She has figured out that she is allowed to bark as much as she wants outside, but then she can't get away with much more than one bark inside.
Okay.
So she'll bark once inside, and then she'll be like, oh wait, I'm not supposed to do that. Oh. She'll run outside.
Excellent.
So here we go.
So when people come at me with that, it's like, have you studied history? Have you studied any sort of reliable material? And
DM the Redist, why do you have a Delta instead of a Starburst on your Admiral's uniform? Look, there's a whole lot of discussion about exactly how the Delta thing works, but here's the real answer. This is a commercially available uniform shirt. And I am not going to sew my own special uniform shirt. I tell you what, if anyone right now promises to buy me a sewing machine if I put it on my wish list, I will put a sewing machine on my wish list by the end of the night. Short of that, I'm going with commercially available uniform products. Sorry. Oh, all right. I'm going to hit play.
Usually they're just, nope, I'm with Ernest Haeckel. I'm biased. And you know what?
It's Ernst, not Ernest, Matt. It has never been Ernest Haeckel, ever. I'm taking a drink because he does it all the time and it really annoys me.
By the way, if nobody wants to buy Dapper a sewing machine, just like buy the components of the uniform you need, send it to me. I'll applicate it on in my giant sewing room we're currently in. And then I'll send it to you.
You know, we might have to talk about this later.
Yeah, because applicating that on would take me like 10 minutes.
Okay, but what if I wanted to convert a uniform to an Admiral uniform, which would probably take more than that?
That would take more than 10 minutes. We would need to discuss.
We'll have a discussion.
We'll discuss. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But in their defense, a lot of times world religion can indeed really slip people up on this issue. And I agree with you 100%. World religion destroys.
What is world religion?
What is world religion, and how does the concept, what is world religion, and how does presumably like a non-living thing, right? Like a concept, how does that mess everyone up? And again, what is world religion? I'm so confused.
The only thing I can think of is that world religion is just any religious position that isn't Matt's.
Yeah, does
all
he
I
mean
can
like
think
a
of.
class? Does he mean like world religions? The class?
No, I because that would just mean like that one class in school or something. That can't be it.
Yeah, that can't be right. But like the existence of world religions, of which Christianity is one.
Right. But I think he doesn't think that. I think he's gonna, I think he might be one of those guys who's like, Christianity isn't a religion, it's a relationship.
It's a relationship.
Yeah, which is I hate that on like every level.
It gives me the icks.
Yeah. Because the thing is, everyone who says that is also like, okay, I can't say everyone. Everyone I'm aware of who says that ends up also being like the worst representative of Christianity that you can imagine.
Yeah, everyone I know that's like that is about to try to sell me an essential oil or a crystal.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And also about to really, really tell me what they really think about gay people.
Oh, no. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to dye my hair green again to avoid such conversations.
You know, I wish I had enough to even bother with that trick.
We could get you a wig.
I mean, I have a wig, but it's not green, it's black.
We could get you a green wig.
Okay, yeah,
or
I guess
a purple wig.
Ooh, a purple wig.
Yeah.
Okay, we got a few things here. My Infinite Journey for $6.66 says, Hail Nero, Hail Daps, and Hail Maddie. I don't mind Chi equals 3 in the Old Testament. Approximations are a thing. No, I agree with you. And I very rarely bring it up until people start saying that we can get like advanced learning and science and things from the Bible, or that we can take the Bible literally, right?
Yeah.
Generally speaking, approximating pi to 3 is fine, right? Especially if you're measuring in freaking cubits, like whatever. Who cares?
Right.
But for people like Matt, who are like, oh no, we can get all sorts of advanced scientific information from the Bible and it's literally true and everything it says, it's like, no, Matt. Because if that were true, then the Bible wouldn't approximate pi to 3. Sorry.
Right.
Right? Like, that's the only... Normally, it's fine. Savage Bivalve Alpinist Cobra for $1.99 says, Ernest goes to Hakel.
Nice.
And then...
I was saying, fun fact, astronomers frequently approximate pi squared as 10.
It's not, but okay. You know what? Fine. It's fine.
It's not.
It's astronomy. Who cares?
It's astronomy if you need, but like, yeah, when you're not, if you're doing a back of the napkin calculation, right?
Yeah, where you're
pi
like
squared, 10, close enough.
Am I going to be in the right order of magnitude type calculation? 10 is fine.
Exactly. 10 is fine.
Kerry Bronson says, did he mean global religion? Possibly. It's not very clear. And then for $1.99, Roshna, T-Rex arms or chicken legs, Keller says, Happy Harvest Supermoon Eclipse, everyone. Yes, there is in fact a partial lunar eclipse today. I don't know if it's happening now or what, but if it's happening now, thank you to the 113 of you who are here for being here instead of looking at the moon. I appreciate it. All right, here we go.
Excuse me, any sort of faith in
that
God.
was him, not me.
Religion is one of Satan's biggest tools. He's not...
Just drink. Dude, look at your room. No one who isn't you is going to call you a non-religious person. Like,
right.
You've got a sign that says the Cross of Calvary, where the is in the cross section. You have an open Bible saying "Talkin' Doctrine" on your both on as a sticker on your monitor and as your profile pic. Like, dude, your set includes a Bible on the desk, which, as far as I can tell, you have not touched once during this entire time. So as far as I can tell, it's not there for practical purposes. It's just there as a display piece.
It's set dressing.
Yeah.
Also, I like to say, because I enjoy watching people's heads spin backwards, I like to say, like, oh, I'm religious, I'm not spiritual, instead of the other way around.
Spirituality? No. Religion?
Absolutely not. Feelings? I could never. Liturgy, I'm here for.
I mean, look, there's a reason liturgy is popular cross-culturally.
Yeah.
Donald Jaramillo for $2 says, perhaps world religion is Gaia worship. You know what? That actually makes sense.
Yeah.
That actually, yeah. I could buy that.
Makes the most sense.
Scared of religion. He uses religion to make people want to work, or to not want to work, but to think that works are correct.
Oh, he's doing a works versus faith salvation
He's doing
thing.
works versus grace. And
I thought he meant that like Satan uses religion to get people to go to the office, and I was like, I am lost.
I'm real lost. Are we going like weirdly against the Protestant work ethic here? Like,
Talking Doctrine comes out as an anti-capitalist for some reason.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
Listen, okay, we could go into a hardcore like works versus grace, saved by works versus saved by grace theological discussion, but the idea that like works don't matter is how you get people justifying lying for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
So like maybe do some works.
I gotta say, the worst representatives of Christianity that I've ever seen were hardcore works not, or faith not works people.
Faith, yeah, grace not works. Yeah. I would much rather hang out with a works over grace group. I think we would get a lot done. I think we can do a lot of good in the world.
Yeah, it turns out that when your religion says you should do good things to people, you end up having a religion that is actually more prosocial. Who knew?
Yeah. I'd rather hang out with those people. Like, and then we can have some like Augustinian theological discussions over a campfire and some s'mores, right? For funsies.
That's one of the reasons I like Sikhs, because one of the aspects of their religion is like, our temples are also food kitchens that will feed literally anyone who walks through the door.
Beautiful.
You walk through the door to a Sikh temple, you can get food. No questions asked.
I love it.
Here's some food. Are you Sikh? Doesn't matter. Have you ever heard of our religion? No. Here's some food. You know why? Because feeding people is part of our religious duties. You know what?
Yeah.
That is a great rule for a religion. More religion should take notes. Now, instead saying, it doesn't matter what you do, you can be the worst, horriblest person ever, and it doesn't matter to your afterlife at all, as long as you say the magic words in a prayer. That is how you get people, like, protesting the funerals of soldiers or dead gay people. That's where you get that kind of thing.
Yeah.
One, it seems right to them. They haven't read the Bible enough to realize the way that seemeth right to a man is the way that leadeth to death.
Fun that you can quote the Bible. I also want to point out that there's this thing called the Epistle of James. It's in your Bible, buddy.
Yeah.
And it says, show me faith without works. And I will show you my faith by my works.
Works. Yeah. Faith without works is dead.
Mm-hmm. It's in there.
No. Let's see. You will know a believer by their. You'll know the vine by its fruit, and the fruit of the Spirit is like gentleness, faithfulness, whatever. Right? Like,
it's actually, in my opinion, it is harder to get a works don't matter theology out of the Bible than it is to get a works do matter theology out of the Bible.
Absolutely, and the idea, like, listen, the whole like. So here's I'm gonna be all right. I gotta get rid of the side pony. I've got to get like. I've got to get to like theology nerd Maddie for a second.
You don't have the right beer for that right now.
I don't. I'm drinking Baja Blast. All right, hold on.
I'll take a drink too. Whatever. Maddie called the drink.
I have to go to Walmart to get Bearded Theologian. Anyway. Classy. Okay. The idea, so here's where two little bits are like coming together in specifically like Western white evangelicalism. It might be a little broader than that, but here's the idea. Is evangelicalism, part of that theology says that like, and I'm kind of extrapolating by sort of like having grown up in that environment, right? It kind of says that like, okay, we're boiling all of Christianity down to the point of salvation, right? Absolutely nothing else matters. In fact, I was told in a sermon once as a child that the only reason you don't immediately die upon being baptized is so that you can baptize other people and cause other people to be saved, right? This is why people call Christianity and specifically evangelicalism a death cult, because they say things like that.
I hate that so much.
Right? It's bonkers. But it's this idea that literally the only thing that matters in my religion, everything else is just fluff, right? Is whether or not someone has said the sinner's prayer, right? And like preferably been baptized, right? But that's it. That's all that matters. That's all we gotta worry about, right? Anything that comes after, bonus content, right? This is what matters. Then you bring that and you mix it with a like academic question of, okay, is one's salvation a product of God's grace, or is it something that you earn by works, right? This is an academic theological question that has been discussed for a couple millennia in Christianity, right? And generally it's been agreed upon that, like, my understanding is that, like, the basic idea is, like, well, yeah, like, salvation is grace that comes from God, salvation is a gift so freely given, right? Like, we'll baptize babies because it's like you do no more effort to accept that grace, right, as an infant than as an adult, right? That has everything to do with God's grace. And then it's like, okay, cool, did that part, now here's the rest of your life, right? And then that, like, Christianity of, like, Catholicism, and even, like, I'm an Episcopalian, so, like, the Anglican tradition, right? Like, all of the faith and the, like, being a Christian part happens after.
Yeah.
happens after the moment of salvation.
We got a few super chats real quick. Mark Rose from 199 says, these guys are some of the biggest tools, and then follows up with another 199 super chat saying, up there with the contents of AIG's bag. So we will take a drink for that. Thank you very much.
Amazing.
And then Savage Bivalve Alpinist Cobra for 199 says, known by the fruit DLC.
DLC, yeah, absolutely.
It's an extra $5.99.
Cheers. That's awesome. Okay, so but this is my point. So, but when you take that evangelical, the only thing that matters is salvation, and and you're saved by grace, right? Then it becomes, therefore, nothing that you do matters.
Except for all that soul winning.
Except for all that soul winning. So you can be a terrible person. You can, like, cause harm to other people, right? You can lie, cheat, and steal, as long as you're like, but I was trying to save souls. Then it doesn't matter what you do, because you're saved by grace. And our only goal is to convince other people to believe the same things we do. And that's literally all that matters, right? That's how you get climate deniers. Thank you. This has been my TED Talk.
And hey, evangelicals, if you feel like that is not a great way for people to think about your religion, I hear you. I get it.
Yeah.
Maybe police yourself so you stop acting like that's how your religion works. Teary Words of a King, 7 times purified, Rana, nice biblical reference, who's been a member for 15 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says, brain and brain, what is brain? With an AIG as a bag of dicks, and also excellent reference to one of the worst episodes of Star Trek ever, Spock's brain. Which, by the way, is unironically one of Benthoven's favorite Star Trek episodes.
Amazing.
And you know what? I'm not even going to argue with him. If that's one of his favorites, then good for him. He should watch as much Spock's brain as he wants.
You do you, bro.
Yeah. I mean, next thing you know, he's going to tell me that Threshold is the best episode of Deep Space Nine. Or not Deep Space Nine, Voyager. I don't know what I'm talking about now. It's the Mai Tai. The Mai Tai is making me mix up Deep Space Nine and Voyager.
Yeah.
Do you know that Strange New Worlds has the highest Rotten Tomatoes rating of any Star Trek series?
Really?
Yeah. Not for the critics.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's got a slightly lower, like, it's 98% with critics, and it's like 87 with audiences. So, like, it's still very highly rated for both.
Yeah. By the way, can we... I was going to cheer something. I had a good joke, and it's gone.
Oh, well, we'll hit play.
Mind. Okay.
So most religions, the people in them are on their way to the ditch, but then
Which, remember, for this guy includes the vast majority of Christians.
Right. Yeah, so I'm on my way to the ditch.
Yep.
Baja Blast in hand. What am I doing in the ditch? What's
All
going
you
on?
Catholics, all you Lutherans, all you Eastern Orthodox, all you Oriental Orthodox, Armenian
Oh.
Apostolic Church, Church of the East. Like,
No.
I'd like to get a little bit of Eastern Christian diversity in here because everyone always ever notices Western Christianity. Except for, Bram Stoker's Dracula, where there's that scene where Keanu Reeves and Winona Ryder might have actually been legally married in Romania.
I'm sorry, that's beautiful.
Well, there's a wedding scene, but the thing is, they had it performed by a real priest in a real Romanian Orthodox church, and it doesn't seem like the priest was entirely aware of the idea that this was just for a movie. So it's possible that technically Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves got legally married in Romania.
Beautiful.
So, it's a fun movie, even if Keanu Reeves can't do a British accent to save his life.
Those people who don't believe can, on the outside, they can look in and they see all this chaos and all this bickering and all this can't come together, supposedly all Christians, and they just think that it's crazy. They don't want anything to do with it. It looks like muddy water.
Okay, so is his claim that things that are contentious groups aren't Christians?
No, this is what I think he's trying to say. I think he's trying to say that non-Christians are like confused and off-put by the fact that Christianity, like all religions, is internally diverse.
Yeah, I guess maybe.
And that if only everyone who called themselves a Christian believed like we do, because we've got the right answers,
Obviously.
then that would be a singular, clear message. And everyone would be like, wow, look at all those people agreeing. They must be right. I'll think like they do.
I feel like that's not what would happen.
That's not real life. And like, again,
Oh.
all religions are internally diverse. So that's not a hard concept.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
That's like saying all fandoms are internally diverse. Right?
Very,
Like,
very
same
obviously
thing.
true. Very obviously true.
Same.
Grungavaldi Gurnison for $5 says, pours one out for my blue shirt homies who die in droves in TOS and get no love. It's true. Actually, there's a lot of blue shirt deaths in TOS.
Listen,
so, you know what, we'll pour one out.
for the blue shirt homies.
Blue
We all know
shirts.
I would be a blue shirt.
Oh, yeah, obviously. I mean, I would too.
You
Joshua,
might be yellow, my guy. You might be engineering.
maybe. Yeah, that's a possibility. But
Yeah.
I feel like I would be there as like the paleontology consultant or something, looking at like alien
Okay.
fossils, and that would be a blue shirt.
What about linguist?
I think that would be blue shirt too.
You're right. That would be blue shirt. That would be. Yeah, Hoshi's blue.
Was
You
Hoshi
could-
blue?
Hoshi is blue, but
Okay.
Ho's red.
Oh, yeah, okay. Maybe the comms officer is something that's changed from like science to operations a few different times in like Starfleet history.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like you could be actually depending on period.
Okay,
You
so
could be either red, yellow, or blue.
maybe it's like this, right? Like, so, the
Yeah.
Navy has like radiomen and signalmen and whatnot. And that's
Yeah.
not the same job as translator, which is a different job. Maybe
Right,
Hoshi
yeah.
is more like a translator and Uhura is more like a signalman or a radioman.
That makes sense, actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I buy it.
So in that case, I would still, if I were just doing linguistics as such, it would be blue. But if we're going to do
Yeah.
like comms, then I would be red.
Right. So but I also feel like you could have started in linguistics and transition into
absolutely, yeah.
a command track if you wanted.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, there's that lower decks. There's that lower decks episode
Yeah.
where Rutherford goes through all 3 division colors as he goes.
Yeah, like you would have so many choices in Star Trek.
Okay, we
You
got
would
a
have
few.
so many career paths.
Josh Wiggies, who's been a member for 10 months and is at the Tetrapod level, says apparently Winona still calls Keanu her husband. Good. I like that. I mean, look, it was a cute scene, and like if you're watching it and you're familiar with Eastern Orthodox wedding ceremonies, it's very obviously a very, very authentic wedding ceremony because it's an actual wedding ceremony performed by an actual priest in an actual church. It's got the crowns and they take communion together and everything. Which also, by the way,
wow.
they definitely weren't supposed to take that communion.
Yeah.
Because as far as I know, neither of them are Eastern Orthodox. So
Ooh, maybe. Okay, that I was about to say if the communion wasn't real.
it's very unlikely that that priest would have used the actual chalice for a fake communion. That's very unlikely. Vince O'Connor for $9.99 with their 20th super chat on the channel. Thank you so much. Says, I would gladly pay Maddie money to do necessary mods for Dapper to have an admiral's uniform. Oh. Alright, well, you should, like, DM me on Twitter or on Discord or something. And, we could probably arrange something. So, alright.
Yeah, because if it's mostly applique, you guys saw the quilt I made Digital Hammurabi.
Yeah. I mean, I would have to double check all of the Admiral uniforms for like TOS, because here's one of the things about Admiral uniforms. They change more frequently than the regular Starfleet uniforms.
That's true.
So it's a little crazy. My headcanon is that there's just like 5 or 6 different Admiral uniforms in any given era, and Admirals just get to choose, and no one can complain because they're the Admiral.
Right. It's kind of like female uniforms in the real life Navy. None of the men in my chain of command actually knew the female regs. And so you're like, I'm technically not this is technically not quite regs, but everyone does it, and everyone's afraid to correct me.
Yep. Nice. All right, here we go.
But there's only the narrow road that really just goes right through the middle of that people can't see.
I do not like this guy.
It takes a bold believer to go straight to somebody and tell them directly. And if you're talking flesh to flesh, you're still not going to get anything done.
Is that an innuendo?
No, he means as opposed to like spirit to spirit.
So, like telepathy?
What?
Is that telepathy? Is spirit to spirit telepathy?
No, spirit to spirit is like the Holy Spirit. It's kind of telepathy. It's telepathy with extra steps, because it's like the Holy Spirit in me talks to me, tells me to say words to you, and then you hear them, but then those go to the Holy Spirit in you, and that Holy Spirit is the spirit of discernment and can be like, yeah, you know what he's saying is really right.
Okay. All right. Yeah, sure.
I gotta bring back the sass for that.
You know, even as a former evangelical, that is not language that I was ever using.
I'm upset I can translate it. I'm bringing back my sassy ponytail.
Kerry Bronson for $10 says, the most enthusiastic Trekkie I personally know believes that Orville is effectively fan-made Star Trek, and Seth MacFarlane's attempt to branch out. Do you two agree? I mean, yeah, it's basically a fan-made Star Trek.
Orville, Galaxy Quest, both Star Trek.
Basically, yeah. I mean, they're not technically canon in Star Trek, but like, it's very clear that whoever made those, well, I mean, we know who made them, but that the people who made them were big fans of Star Trek and really wanted. In fact, Seth MacFarlane was trying to get in charge of a Star Trek series for decades.
Yeah.
Like, let me make Star Trek.
Orville and Galaxy Quest are fan movies, right? Yeah. Fan shows, you know?
Yeah, they're legally distinct enough. Just legally distinct enough.
Yeah, they're in the zine.
Yeah. And I mean, look, I'm a big fan of the Orville especially, and I also really like Galaxy Quest. I'm glad that looks like the Orville is going to be starting production for another season in January. And,
nice.
But that does not mean they're going to start filming in January. They are starting production. So that's like costume design, set design, building sets, sewing costumes, casting. That's starting in January.
That stuff takes time.
Mm-hmm. So do not expect a new season for at least a year and a half, probably more like 2 years. Yeah. But it is happening. They have a schedule, they have a budget, they have a crew, a production staff. It looks like it is happening.
So, complete side note, I've been filming and doing pre-production for some TTRPG actual plays. We've filmed 2 different story arcs for a total of 7 episodes.
Oh, Maddie? Maddie's gone again. I'll type at her. Maddie, you're gone again.
Anyway.
Oh, wait, you're back again. You just cut out for like that whole time. None of that story came through.
Okay, I was talking about how like we filmed 2 different stories, which is a total of like 7 episodes for the TTRPG actual play show I started working on. Using some one-page RPGs, not like Dungeons and Dragons or nothing big. And oh my gosh, scheduling and set and tech is like the worst.
Oh yeah.
I am not good at it. It is hard, and I don't like it.
Sorry. Let's see. For $9.99. I don't want to misreport this by 1 cent. Savage Bivalve Alpinist Cobra says red shirts have an 84% higher chance of survival when Captain Kirk makes contact with attractive alien women. Starfleet Command recommends increasing senior officer contraceptive budgets by 300%. Remember that time he taught that green-haired woman what is love?
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me.
Yeah.
Don't hurt me no more.
Yeah, I waged 300 quatlus on the newcomer.
You've got to be walking in the spirit as a believer and talking to somebody who's humbly seeking, and to be able to go bypass their flesh, talk to their soul, and Lord willing, directly to their spirit. And if it's when when God opens their ears and eyes of their spirit, is when they actually can understand with their heart, which is their spirit.
Okay, I need people like this guy and like Matt to understand that unless you were already in this particular religious tradition, that sentence sounded like absolute insanity.
Yeah, this is yeah.
Like
this is
if it for anyone who is not already speaking that way, that set of words makes me think that you are an absolute crazy person whom I should run away from because you're probably dangerous.
Right.
Like,
do I need to explain the difference between the soul and the spirit?
No, we'll just it's fine.
We'll just move on.
Anyone who's interested in like spirit versus soul and soulish creatures versus spiritual things, you can look it up in texts about Christian theology. It's one of those like deep dive things that is probably too far off topic for this show.
Okay.
Roshna, T-Rex arms or chicken legs. Keller for $4.99 says, hot take, the Orville is only needed when there's no active Star Trek series airing. I don't know, I think it's a fun show on its own. And one of the things was, it was airing around the same time that Discovery was airing, and I much preferred it to Discovery.
Discovery is just not my cup of tea.
It's really not. In fact, it has one of the lowest ratings on... Actually, it has one of the lowest fan ratings. Not the lowest critic ratings on Rotten Tomatoes. It's like 57% on Rotten Tomatoes. It's pretty bad. Here's the thing, right? Discovery seems like a fine sci-fi show, but it's not a good Star Trek show. And there's a difference, right? Like, The Expanse is a great sci-fi show. It's not Star Trek. It absolutely has nothing to do with Star Trek and should not be conflated in any way with Star Trek. But the tone of Discovery feels a whole lot more like the tone of The Expanse. And so it could be you could use that same plot with different ship designs, different species names, and like different characters, and it would probably be a show that I might like.
Yeah,
but I would like it
more if it didn't have Star Trek in the name.
Mm-hmm. Yep, because the thing is, when I watch Star Trek, I want Star Trek to be brightly lit, optimistic, have some occasional hijinks. Hijinks, yeah. There's a reason why I one of my favorite Star Treks right now is Strange New Worlds. It's because it feels like Star Trek. Robert Madewell, who's been a member for 40 months, says, after drinking 26 drinks, I'm walking in the spirit now. Maybe more like stumbling in the spirit. Yes. Donald Jaramillo for $2 says, bypass the flesh sounds like Hannibal Lecter.
It also potentially sounds like bad how to not get pregnant advice.
Oh, no. Soaking is not good how to not get pregnant advice, by the way, in case any Mormons are watching. That can still get you pregnant.
So most people are all just in the flesh, and they've got the well, for one, they're not born again. They have no ability to walk in the spirit. but they're looking at the lies of the devil, all the different ones, and it just confuses them.
Dude, try
Can
to
you
sound
talk faster?
talk faster, and also try to not sound like you're in a cult for once in your goddamn life, dude.
Yeah.
Just talk like a normal freaking human for one sentence.
I have to say, I've never said this about Matt Powell before, but at least compared to this guy, Matt Powell here is articulate.
Yeah, this guy is just a bunch of like crazy Christian jargon that even most Christians are going to be like, what are you trying to say here?
Yeah, like, it's taking a lot of effort for me to parse what he is saying.
Yeah. Fearmonger says, hey, Dapper Dinosaur, am I correct in saying that these, quote, hijinks entail Klingon K-pop? Only one time, but yes.
Just the once, but yeah.
But it was pretty great, I gotta say. I have rewatched the Klingon K-pop clip an embarrassing number of times. It's really fun.
Well, I also, like, one of the great things about Star Trek is that they're, like, we follow all the characters.
Which Discovery didn't.
Doesn't. Discovery very much has a lead character, and everybody else, we see them sometimes, but they're side characters.
Yeah.
Right?
I remember
and
some character died in Discovery, and there was people like, oh no, not this character. And I'm like, I have no idea who this character is. I've seen her.
Yeah.
But like, ask me to say one thing about her personality or give you her name, I couldn't. She's just that one that's on the bridge.
Yeah, and and that's like that's what it was for me with Discovery, was like, well, that, and then we get to like season 4, and
You got farther than I did.
We just gone like full space pirate with Michael. Where like, you really just want to put this character in a different show, right?
Yeah, like make a show that's not Star Trek, that's about space and pirates and all that cool stuff.
Yeah, and it has some, like, Discovery has some cool Star Trek moments.
A few, yeah, they're in there.
Yeah, there's a few scenes that
I like the bit
cling
where
to.
Harry Mudd was doing the time crystal time loop to kill the Captain Lorca. That was fun.
That was great. That was fun.
I like the episode in season 1 where Saru almost abandoned Starfleet to go live with a tree. That was fun.
Yeah,
that was a really good episode. There was, like, I liked the mystery where, like, there's the humans in a church on some distant planet for some reason. That was fun. But the thing that all of these things have in common is that that's a plot that you could see happening in, like, TOS or TNG or Voyager or something. Mm-hmm. Whereas the, like, well, Michael Burnham is going to commit treason and go be a mutineer, and then also we're going to focus way too much on the weapon collections in the captain's ready room. Like, no, that's not very Star Trek.
Right. Like, and I don't, like, yeah, it's just, there's parts of it that aren't very Star Trek. And again, I would like the show a lot more if it wasn't called Star Trek.
Exactly, that's the thing. All right, so we got a super chat for 200 Argentinian pesos from Glenn Hoven, full relation, whose profile picture is a AI Kent Hoven picture.
Gosh,
it's what AI thinks Kent Hoven looks like.
For it.
Yeah, you know what? That's fair. We'll drink for it.
So we've got 10 minutes, and I want to finish this, and I've got, like, that much.
Okay. But anyway, they say, the fact that almost every Star Trek alien is humanoid is the greatest evidence that we have a common designer. As in, we're all made in his image. More info in lesson 34 of my course. Also, no, that's in... There's an episode about that in TNG, where the woman who plays the female prophet, or not prophet, the female changeling in Deep Space Nine is playing a different character in a different set of makeup, where she explains that her species actually seeded their DNA all across the universe to create a whole bunch of humanoid species. And then Captain Kirk went through time to hear about seeding their DNA through the universe, and he was like, that's what I'm going to do.
That's what I'm going to do.
Seed my DNA across the galaxy.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. We're going to get a little bit more Matt in.
Let's do
it.
But
if they would humble themselves, ask
in the sight
God
of the
to
Lord?
reveal himself.
Thank you for adding in the rest of the psalm. Well, that verse from the psalm.
To them. Maybe they haven't even realized it's the Bible, but they go through conscience and creation, the two witnesses, and respond and say, I want to know that God. The God that tells me that shows me what's right.
Has anyone ever actually come to you and said that that is their experience of life? Ever?
Yeah.
Because I don't think it has. Rochina, T-Rex arms
Yeah.
or chicken legs color for $1.99 says The Chase. Oh yeah, that is the name of the episode. It's The Chase. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. It's where there's like Klingons and Cardassians and the Federation.
Oh yeah.
And
that's
they're
a good
all
episode.
there's like the mystery in the DNA that's like a coded message in the DNA. When they put all the DNA together, it directs them to the planet with the holographic, not the female
Yes.
changeling. Yeah. Yep.
We
Mhm.
love to see it.
Also, one of those rare TNG Cardassian appearances. I always appreciate.
Yeah.
In fact, actually, the guy who plays Gul Dukat started out his career being a Cardassian as a different Cardassian character on TNG. That was the first episode that ever featured Cardassians. And the way that you can tell them apart is that the TNG character has mutton chops, whereas Gul Dukat does not. That's how you tell.
There you go.
Savage Bival Alpinist Cobra, who's been a member for 22 months, says AI Kent Hovind is probably substantially smarter than natural intelligence Hovind. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
It would be hard to be dumber. ChatGPT is definitely smarter than Kent Hovind is.
Yeah.
Even if it's not sure whether 9.11 or 9.9 is bigger.
Yeah.
Right and wrong from within myself, and that I see in this creation. I want to know that God, and then He'll reveal more. So, but with people who are trusting in evolution.
So, you mean trusting in all that, the world that's supposed to lead them to God? Okay, got it. Because remember, creation is supposed to lead you to God, except that anyone who takes a look at the universe, which is roughly synonymous with creation for this guy, without the preconceived notion that evolution has to be fake because of the Bible, they're going to come away with believing things that are roughly the same as, evolution, deep time, all that stuff. Mm-hmm. So, sorry. Also, Roshina, T-Rex arms for chicken legs, Keller just gifted 5 Dapper Dinosaur memberships. Here we go. Let's take 5.
Oh, man.
Drinks.
I appreciate you, sir.
I think Roshina is probably not going with sir. 1.
Sorry.
2. Actually, you know what, Roshina? Put your preferred form of address in the chat. 3.
Yeah.
4. And 5. Because now that I realize it, I might just be making an assumption too. So, don't let me do that.
Sir, ma'am, gentle them, whatever have you.
I try to remember with frequent chatters which pronouns in terms of address are preferred. Also, we could just go with the Klingon and go for the gender neutral Pach.
Pach?
No, Pach.
I salute you, Pach.
No, it's up. It's the uvular stop. You gotta put your tongue as far back in your throat as you can. And... Yeah, there you go. That was good.
Koch.
There you go. You got it. See?
I'm just gonna look up when I do it. Koch.
Well, eventually you might want to get away from that crutch, but yeah. Koch. Koch means sir or ma'am or madam or something like that. Okay. The term of address, you never use it as a standalone noun. It's only an honorific that you use when referring to someone. So you can say thank you, like sir or ma'am.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's Klingon is handy because it was like gender isn't for distinguishing between people, only for distinguishing between people and not people. Not within people. All people get the same gender, it's rational. All not people get a different gender, irrational.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is actually a fairly common thing in cross-linguistically on Earth, but it's not big in Indo-European or in Semitic languages, which tend to have the masculine, feminine, and occasionally neuter. So, Klingon goes along with many other languages and going rational, irrational as the 2 genders.
Okay.
And no, women don't get the irrational gender.
Yeah, please don't make that joke.
They just haven't gone to God. They sadly, they think they've learned about religion. They think they've learned about God, but they've learned of religion, which is straight from Satan and the world's religions, and know nothing of God.
We're taking a drink.
They're still rejecting him, thinking they do know something of him.
I gotta say, I feel like every time someone says, well, I don't believe in religion, I believe in my relationship with Jesus, the very fact that you are putting that much of a downer on religion is just telling on yourself. That's all that's happening. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's all it is.
which is sad. But my main point for what I was getting into is at least that Hinckley guy is being honest
God.
in the fact that he's saying, hey, I don't have any evidence one way or the other, but I'm going to place my faith in this because I don't want this to be true. At least he's honest.
It's interesting you mentioned that because
Is it, Matt?
Is anything that he just said interesting?
Yeah, because
Like, nothing he said is coherent, let alone interesting.
that's like barely even English the whole way through. But okay.
I frequently have conversations with toddlers that make more sense.
I believe you.
On a talk show, the non sequitur show, and they're accusing us. They accuse all Christians, brother. You, me, Ken, anybody that speaks out on these issues, they come out and they just say, "Hey, you're so biased." And Steve McRae said,
I mean, Matt, you are very, very, very biased.
Biased.
Yeah. All right. Glenn Hovind, full relation for 200 Argentinian pesos says, "Of course, women are not irrational. They're beautiful creations of God, along with fire and dangerous things," which is an amazing reference because one of the big leading ideas for how Indo-European languages arrived at the masculine-feminine split is that women, fire, and dangerous things ended up in a category together that became the feminine gender in Indo-European languages.
That's a spectacular reference, and I'm so happy, and I want a t-shirt that says women, fire, and dangerous things.
It would be a great t-shirt.
That'd be such a good t-shirt.
Yeah. Also, I'm not sure that fire counts as not a dangerous thing, but whatever. Who cares?
You need, okay, your merch store, Dapper, needs to have, like, one, you need a sticker or a pen that says, like, not a linguist, and that can be your little,
it's true.
like, badge. But yeah, I want a, like, on the sleeve, your little symbol, not a linguist, and then on the shirt, women, fire, and dangerous things.
Savage Bival Alpinist Cobra for $4.99 says they learn about religion when they should learn about my cult. Translated. Yeah, that does really feel like what he's trying to say there. All right, guys, we are going to start wrapping things up. Maddie, do you have anything you want to announce about what's coming up on your channel or any other channels featuring you or anything like that?
No.
Okay, hey, that's fine.
Other than I'll be here next month to hang out with you.
I mean, presumably, yeah. I hope so. All right, so let's take a look at what's coming out here. So, let's see. Thursday, Getting Catfish While Radiometric Dating. Andrew Snelling is Still a Liar, Part 1, coming out at noon Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern. So come hang out with that. That should be fun, because Andrew Snelling is still just so dishonest. And the reason I say he's dishonest and not just ignorant is because he has an actual PhD in geology. So yeah. Look, when it comes to merch, people just have to bug me about it, especially when I'm not currently live, because then I'll be able to remember better. On Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, on Top Hats Off, linked in the description, Star Trek Lexington Episode 1, A World with a Bluer Sun. It will be featuring a number of people you are familiar with. Thierry Rana, who's in the chat, will be there. Zerolon, who's often in the chat, will be there. Crusher, who's in the chat, or who's usually in the chat. Zarna Renkar, who's sometimes in the chat, will be there. I will be there. Chesh will be there. FTFE will be there. Jordan from Reason to Doubt will be there. There are 7 players in this game and 1 GM.
Wow, that's a lot.
It is. I think it's a record for me.
Yeah.
We have a captain, a first officer, a science officer, a chief engineer, a chief medical officer, a security officer, and a ship's counselor.
Genius.
All as main characters. And we will, I am sure, be creating supporting characters as time goes on, because one of the things I love about the D20 or 2D20 system is it allows you to just create minor characters as PCs for times when it doesn't seem reasonable for your PC to be, or for your main character to be there. You just create a supporting character who's also a player character, but not a main character. And when you bring them back in subsequent adventures, they can improve. They can get attribute increases. They can get new focuses. They can get new values.
This is how you get Miles O'Brien.
Exactly. And then he becomes a main character in the next season, or the next series. Anyway.
The most important man.
In Starfleet history. That's canon.
Starfleet history.
That is canon.
Canon.
All right, so that is Friday. On Saturday, I will be back for Dapper Reacts. The plan right now is to have Ashanti back on and to go back to Pete Greer. And then the next week after that, we'll probably be going back to finish up the whole Robert Carter telling us why there's no human fossils below the flood boundary. Which he does not have good reasons, in case you're wondering. So yeah, that... Let's see. Roshana T-Rex arms are chicken wings. Keller says, "With you, things will you be detecting magic on a gazebo?" I feel like there's a reference there that I am not getting, but I'm going to go ahead and say maybe. No, probably no. I'm going to go with no. All right. So thank you very much, everybody. Thank you for your generosity. For those of you who super chatted or gifted memberships, I really do appreciate it. It really does help pay the bills here. It lets me do things like make Mai Tais. Because this is actually one of the more expensive things I've ever drank on the show. Because it's like 3 different types of booze, and like, yeah.
This was $3.
Yeah,
and
this
came from the bottom row of the gas station.
This was significantly more than $3.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I probably don't know the gazebo story. Oh wait, no, you mean the one about the DM who presented his players with a gazebo and they thought it was a horrible D&D monster, so they started attacking it and casting spells? Because I do know that reference. Okay, no, now I get what you're talking about. Okay. Once you said that it was the gazebo story and the D&D and whatnot, my brain made the connections. All right, so I will be heading over to my Discord in just a few minutes to go do the final 4 episodes of Power Rangers Operation Overdrive. That's it. 4 more episodes all tonight. And then the next, on Saturday, we will be going off to Power Rangers Jungle Fury, which is a fun season, if I do say so myself, which I just did. So.
And hey, if you need more jungle-themed Power Rangers and you want to support Top Hats Off to get it to the monetized point, just go put the Power Rangers Jungle Beasts that I played in as Claire Masters, your ever-helpful Blue Ranger. Just play that. It's lots of hours, and it'll get those view hours up. That's legit. What's up?
It's going to be somewhere around like 80 hours of content.
Yeah, it's legit one of the best ways to help a channel when they're right on that cusp of getting the required view hours is to just put it on play in the background.
Yep. Don't mute it though, because if you mute it,
don't mute it.
YouTube will know.
Plug in a set of old headphones and don't listen.
Or watch it. It's a fun show. I think it's a fun show. So, you know.
I had so much fun being Claire Masters.
Right. Claire Masters was great.
My voice gets higher by the episode.
It does. By the end, it's Claire Masters.
Hold on, I can do the voice. I can do it.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. Hi, everybody. I'm Claire Masters, your ever-helper Blue Ranger.
Nice.
And I'm happy to be here.
All right, everybody. I hope to see all of you on Thursday and Friday and Saturday. But for now, I'm getting out of here. If you're interested, head over to the Discord. We will be doing Power Rangers in just a little bit. Have a great night, everyone else. Stay safe out there. Have a great rest of your week. Bye, everybody. Before you go, I'd like to just take a second to thank my channel members and patrons, especially those pledging $20 or above. Benthoven, Ferravara, Tapioca Weasel, Whispers, Ellerhan Teller, Horseflesh, Ian Chen, Kelvin Brostick Van Manen, Landon Knoll, Mabbity Babbity, Sphincter of Doom, Vollus, North Texas Fossils, John Ackerman, Strawberry Vein, and Dr. Tapioca Weasel. It's because of my channel members and patrons that I'm able to do this show as I am now with 3 videos a week. Without them, I would be reduced to maybe 1 a week, or maybe even 1 every other week. So, if you like this channel and you'd like to support, there's a link to the Patreon in the description, and a join button below this video. All channel members and patrons get early access to videos, often many months in advance, as well as access to my super secret Discord server that's just for supporters and is a great way to contact me. Thanks for watching.